Hi, I'm Rachel with 7 in All, and today I'm going to be showing you a comparison and contrast of 5 different preschool curriculum. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll know that I'm a homeschool mom, and I like to talk about preschool quite a bit because my son is in preschool. I am homeschooling my sisters as well, so we homeschool older grades as well. But I do have a soft spot in my heart for preschool. And I do want to say before I begin, you definitely do not need a curriculum to homeschool your preschooler. However, I think it's a lot easier. You certainly can do it all on your own. There are so many resources online for planning. You can do unit study themes every week. You can pull it all together from scratch, and a lot of people do. And it works really great. You can just have complete control of what you're doing. But to me, just like my personality, I am a curriculum person. I'm a little bit, not lazy, but I don't want to have to do everything for myself. I want to be able to use the hard work that other people put in to planning curriculums to benefit myself and my kids. But I'm also not necessarily someone who's going to follow any curriculum exactly. But I think they make a great base that you take one curriculum or two, mix them together, and get what you need for your family, adapt some things to your situation, but they can be such a useful tool. And a lot of preschool curriculums especially are really not expensive, so I think they can be a very worthwhile investment. We're going to be looking at 5 different programs: Sonlight, Horizons, Abeka, the Peaceful Preschool, and Gentle and Classical Preschool. So if you're interested in any of those, definitely stick around. These are not all the preschool programs that exist, but these are all the ones that I own. And 5 preschool programs is kind of a lot, which with Horizons. This is Horizons Preschool for 3s. I believe that they also have a preschool program. And just so you know, if you're interested in any of these, after you kind of get to see the inside and how they work, I will be linking them down below in the description for all the different programs. Okay, so this is Horizons. And to me, this is the teacher's guide. What makes this preschool program pretty unique is that it's entirely structured around stories from the Bible, which I have not seen another preschool program that decided to take this approach. That we're starting at the beginning with creation, and then we end after Jesus' resurrection and ascension with kind of the lives of the disciples after that. There are 40 units or 40 lessons, and each lesson is designed to take about a week. And they give options in the teacher's guide for whether you want to do 2 or 3, 4, 5 days a week preschool. And then, so they have a more detailed approach to the lesson for including different aspects throughout your week, but they kind of give you the flexibility to decide how many days a week you want to take and what you want to do on each day. Each lesson comes with several worksheets that cover different topics. So it's not that you're spending all of preschool just learning Bible stories, but they have a Bible story kind of focus, and then they branch off from that and have different worksheets that cover different topics like colors, shapes, animals, size, just different types of relevant concepts. They also have this student workbook companion, which is more of the hands-on craft, cutting out type of stuff. And most of our worksheets aren't in this anymore because we saw the benefit of this as being something that could be used many, many times. So we ended up cutting out or getting most of these worksheets laminated and then cutting out the pieces. So this was a sorting activity of put the people, arrange them by age from youngest to oldest. So that's an interesting concept to get to explore. There's a whole bunch of different just little card activities in here. Cut out the squares, arrange the squares from largest to smallest, identify colors, name the shape. So it gives you a lot of opportunity to just use these different cards in different ways. You can use the activities that they give you. You can come up with more on your own. We also laminated a couple of the sheets that we can just use for good vocabulary. I use these because there's no like kind of language printed on them. I use them in Spanish quite a bit. So we'll take the baby's face and we'll look for the ojos, nariz, orejas, boca, dientes, all of those. So from this curriculum, what I've mainly used have been all of these different envelopes full of different kind of little matching card activities and such. And we just kind of pull out an envelope and play a game or two each day. So that's kind of, I think, the pro of this. But it definitely could be used as it's designed for the core of your preschool for 3's curriculum. We'll also be looking at Sonlight's preschool, which is fiction, fairy tales, and fun. Sonlight is a completely literature-based curriculum. If you know anything about Sonlight, that is definitely their brand. Is no textbooks, all real books, bringing together different subjects. Their preschool is a bit different than their older cores. I'm very familiar with Sonlight as this is the curriculum I primarily used when I was growing up. But their teacher's guide for preschool is a bit different, and we'll be looking at what this curriculum includes now. And the teacher's guide for preschool, as I mentioned, is quite a bit different from later Sonlight curriculums. So we can look at this here. They mainly just have little kind of activity extensions for different stories or books that you're reading. So the teacher's guide maybe is not the most exciting, I would say. I like later teacher's guides better for the more information that they include. But the collection of books is very high quality. A lot of them are hardcover. So I'm just going to show you some of them. This is not all of the books that come with the Sonlight preschool. This one is my husband's favorite. It's very sad. And quite a few of them are kind of treasuries or compendiums of many different stories. So these Eloise Wilkin ones we have read many times already. The theme is kind of fairy tales, so there's several different fairy tales related or nursery rhymes books. This is a really beautiful book from the Maple Hill Farm. We have a Usborne Body book. I had not heard of George and Martha before getting this Sonlight curriculum, but there's a really big book full of lots of George and Martha stories. These are pretty fun and very simple. Some of the books are a bit advanced for preschool, but my son is doing a great job with listening to them. He loves books. So we have really enjoyed reading all of these stories together. A lot of beautiful books. The Sonlight preschool program also comes with a couple of other resources, like games or activities like Mighty Mind, which is kind of a shape and puzzle building set. There's different cards that you follow to make different types of pictures. This is one of the really advanced ones. We're not up to this level yet, but I thought it would be too hard for my son, but when we sat down and did it, he did like the first 12 cards in a row with no problem. So I guess I was overestimating the difficulty. So that's quite a bit of fun. I really enjoy this. We've used these books, some of the books we've already read 30 or more times. And we have Abeka's 2- and 3-year-old preschool, which has, if you know anything about them, you know Button Bear and Amber Lamb are kind of their characters for their 2- and 3-year-old preschool. We'll be taking a look inside of these books. I don't actually have the homeschool teacher's guide for Abeka. We used to, but I think at some point we threw it away because it just didn't seem all that useful or have that much extra information that we felt that we needed. We more were using just the workbook pages, not the teacher's guide. Now you might be pretty familiar with Abeka. They have been on the scene for quite a while for Christian homeschool resources. I don't have every piece of their 2 to 3 year old curriculum, but I have some of the major workbooks. I have Learning Numbers with Button Bear. These all number related little coloring sheets. They have several for each number, so you can spend a lot of time with counting, coloring. You can build vocab through naming the items on the page, use them in English or Spanish or whatever your target language is. So that's kind of nice. They're just very simple. Also child art for twos. You can tell we have been using this one. Coloring the different pages. I'm working on coloring in the lines, following the color that goes around here. So learning different colors. So, and it gets a bit more advanced using a few more colors, but it's very, very simple at this stage, nice and bright. Again, you can use them for building vocabulary. And then we have the crafts, which I've used quite a few of these already, so some of the pages are out of this book. One of the things that I don't like so much about the Abeka curriculum is that a lot of their crafts for both the 2 and 3 year old books are very holiday or seasonal related. They seem to follow kind of holidays and seasons quite a bit, which just doesn't work quite as well for me because we don't have seasons and we don't celebrate a whole lot of US holidays. So sometimes that just doesn't work so well. But a lot of them are very animal focused, which is fun because my son loves animals. So I can, mostly what I use these for is if we're having, say, a kangaroo unit, I'll pick out some kangaroo crafts to do. And I like these. What I do like is that I don't like to do a whole lot of preparation for crafts, and these are very easy crafts to do. And then we have the Gentle and Classical Preschool, which you may have seen on Instagram or homeschool blogs. And I'll be taking a look to see inside kind of what this program is like. And then this is the Gentle and Classical Preschool. This one is pretty new to me. I actually heard about it first here on YouTube and Instagram. So this is the level 1, which is for ages 2 to 4. And I will link Erin Elizabeth Cox's website so you can find, I'll be linking to all these different curriculums so that you can find them. But I have really liked this. You can read a lot in the beginning about her kind of philosophy behind this program. Let me get to the weekly pages. The units, from what I read, are designed to take about 2 weeks for a unit. Although if you have an older preschooler, you might do 1 week per unit and move through it faster. If you have a younger one, you can go ahead and take 4 weeks per unit. So they do quite a bit of kind of memory work, and using songs is a big part of this idea. So they suggest a song to go along with this catechism question. They suggest learning different nursery rhyme songs for their language arts. You can use songs for a social studies topic like this, days of the week. So I like that they basically have these 8 different learning statements that you can practice. So we have actually been using this. And then they have a letter of the unit that you can go into. And they don't give specific books, which to me is kind of nice because I'm limited in my ability to get specific books. But they suggest that you do about 2 to 4 books per unit. And their suggestion is basically choose one of the points. Choose the science point or choose the letter of the unit to kind of tie your book that you choose into it. And then you read your one book for 1 whole week and your second book for the next whole week. Read it at least once a day. So I've been doing that as they suggested. We are only on Unit 1. We're on our 2nd week of Unit 1. But I am already liking the structure that this gives quite a bit. So they have this. Then on the other side of the page, they kind of give more details about how you may want to do these different memory statements or focuses. They give a little bit more explanation. But I feel like it's very easy to follow. here. And you can also choose, like for me, maybe tadpoles turn into frogs was not a super important learning focus right now. For me, because I wanted to focus on this letter of the unit, and my son loves ants, we've actually been doing an ant unit study. So our books have had a lot to do with ants recently. So you can just use it as a structure and adapt it to what you need, which is really nice. I like the structure that this gives. I like the language focuses, that you can have practice speaking in full sentences, practice learning rhymes and songs. I like memory songs already. They also give a little emphasis on different motor skills. So I like this structure. And then we have the Peaceful Preschool. They are also very well known, I feel like, in the homeschool Instagram world and such. We'll be looking at the freshwater guide for the Peaceful Preschool, not their actual first preschool program. They have some different kind of nature-themed guides that I believe are generally intended to be used after the initial Peaceful Preschool. And so this is the one that I have, but it follows the same general structure and the same types of focuses as their Peaceful Preschool. So I think it's a good example of what they do. So they have a weekly schedule that looks like this, and they give you activities in different categories. All of these different categories: read alouds, phonics, counting skills, fine motor skills, large motor skills, practical life skills, and art skills. So I do really like that they're focusing on different types of skills in this way. They have a more detailed look for each day of what you're supposed to be doing. So that's really cool. For me, I would say from this freshwater guide and from what I've seen of the Peaceful Preschool, this is a more advanced preschool. I believe that they do say that they're for age 2 to 4, but to me, a lot of their activities are a bit just beyond what I would tend to focus on at 2 years old with my toddler. In this guide, they're looking at like the life cycle of a frog. They're looking at the water cycle. They're doing skip counting by threes, which those are all great skills, but they are not at a level that we would really be working at right now. So for that reason, I would consider this a bit more of an older or more advanced kind of preschool program. Also, if you're in a situation where you don't have as much access to specific books, like me, I live overseas, I have limited library selection, limited ability to buy books in English, they do use specific books throughout their program. And not that you have to be able to get every book, but that's something to consider. If you don't have a lot of access to getting specific books or to getting very specific supplies, because I do think that they use quite a few supplies, this might be a difficult program to use as is if you're kind of in a similar situation to me, that you have a more limited supply chain. Thank you so much for watching. I hope watching this video kind of gets you excited, gets you thinking about what type of curriculums you might want to use for your preschool, or if you want to skip curriculum altogether. I think for me, the best blend is choosing a curriculum that I can get a lot of value with, that can give me a bit of structure, so I feel like sometimes I don't have to be thinking of every single activity. You know, to me, if it's something listed on a page, it's a little bit easier. I can pick it up, I can change it if I need to, but at least I have that structure there to help me so that I don't wake up every day wondering, what are we gonna do today? And then end up doing the exact same things way too often. So I appreciate curriculum, and I hope that you enjoyed this video and had some fun watching me geek out over curriculum today. If you like this video, do give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, 7 in All. You can also follow our Instagram at 7 in All Family for more homeschool content and to see more about our growing family. Bye!